And it was funny because like our CTO Sergio like sent me a message on Slack and he's like, Claude, oh my God. Man, he's a very highly introverted individual, doesn't get very emotional hardly ever. So for him to say that, I'm like, okay, he came across something pretty interesting. And he showed me, he's like, my God, you got someone that is getting 91 medications. And then you've got a bunch of them in the 60s and the 50s. And overall, on average, I think the number he came up with, an average of 48.
Wow, this has got to stop. What's happening in assisted living homes and the number of medications that these patients are on is just mind blowing. To explain this, I'm going to interview right now the CEO of a company that sells software to manage the medications involved in patients in assisted living homes.
As we got a sampling of 100 residents, it was pretty astonishing what we saw. And it was funny because like our CTO Sergio like sent me a message on Slack and he's like, Claude, oh my God. Man, he's a very highly introverted individual, doesn't get very emotional hardly ever. So for him to say that, I'm like, okay, he came across something pretty interesting. And he showed me, he's like, my God, you got someone that is getting 91 medications. And then you've got a bunch of them in the 60s and the 50s. And overall, on average, I think the number he came up with, an average of 48.
Yeah, when I heard that, I literally fell off my chair because, see, I was under the illusion that maybe 6, at the very most 10, but 48 medications, that's the average. And there was someone that had 91 medications?
Correct.
Oh my gosh.
Eric, imagine the caregiver that has to manage 91 medications every day or maybe every other day. Some are given Monday, Wednesday, Friday, something like that. But just trying to keep track of those, along with probably taking care, if it's a large facility, maybe 5, 10, 15 other people as well.
Incredibly, it's just mind blowing what's happening. You evaluated Hal's centers. And what did you find with his numbers as far as medications once they get on his program? I'm sure it's a little bit less than 48.
It definitely brought a smile to my face because typically kind of being within this industry as well, because I used to own 3 locations as well, there's usually one trend, and that trend goes upwards in terms of prescribed orders. It doesn't drop. So looking at Hal's data, it really was just like a breath of fresh air. In October 2023, his resident had a total of 47 prescribed medications. As of July 2024, dropped down to 25. That's a 47% decrease. And that's something that is just, you don't see. I was pretty excited writing out this email to you, Hal, because this is this kind of stuff that you just, this is what you want to see, right? And it's encouraging.
This is really exciting. And what's unique about Hal's facilities is that he focuses more on diet and he actually gives people real food and he doesn't feed them what traditionally is fed, which is institutional foods, ultra processed foods. Is there any special diets going on? Is there any emphasis on diet in these homes?
Generally, there's not a low carb diet or we need to keep sugar away from them or anything like that. It's very medically focused for a particular condition. Not an overall health diet is ever prescribed.
We've never seen anything with regards to low carb or having an emphasis on maybe, okay, you're at this stage right now. Let's try to get you away from that and get you towards a better, healthier stance, whether it's weight loss or just maybe getting off of meds. You don't see that. It's a checkbox and make sure you have it completed. And that's about it.
In these assisted living home centers, they're dealing with, I would say, dementia is like one of the top things. Is that correct?
By far.
Yes, sir.
I saw a statistic that 42% of all residents in assisted living in the United States have dementia.
If we just look at the cost of care with dementia, it's a bit expensive on an average person, right? I mean, taxpayers plus the out-of-pocket for the family, they have to spend a lot of money. Is that true?
For the lifetime of dementia care, I've seen figures between 800,000 and $1.5 million per person.
Incredible.
Consider all expenses.
Incredible.
And it's only getting higher as well.
Does any of those family members ever get to go home because they no longer need hospice?
We've had 9 people actually move back home.
Wow.
Dementia's a more challenging condition and one that really needs effective treatment or prevention early on. As you probably know, Eric, the dementia starts in your 30s and 40s. It's not just suddenly hits you in your 60s or 70s. So if you wait a really long time, it's going to be hard to reverse. The brain heals slower than the body, but you do see memory improvement. Even in the people we don't send home, we see improved scores on the MoCA and slums test.
Wow. I would imagine the diet for people in assisted living is the exact same thing in nursing homes as well as in hospitals.
I would agree, as well as our public schools, I think, and our prisons.
Yeah.
It stems from the FDA food guidelines. In fact, that's what they use as guidance with the CDC and with our Arizona Department of Health. So the trick is we need to change the guidelines at the source, and you'll see it proliferate out, I think, throughout the whole of society.
Well, I saw a recent comment by the committee members that were on the dietary guideline. They basically, their stance is there is no hard evidence or strong evidence to show that ultra-processed foods contribute to someone's health in one way or another. My thought is, do we need an experiment to even do on that? Can't we just look outside and see what people eat and just look at what they look like? I mean, we've been doing an experiment for the last 50 years.
The food guidelines have been in place since the 1970s. And just look at the health of the country since the 1970s. I don't know what bigger contributing factor to your health can be than what you put in your mouth.
The system of medicine is medicine. It's not food. It's not natural things. It's completely disconnected. And because of that, this whole thing is held together. These medications are treating the side effects from the junk food. Then there's creating more side effects that are treated by more medication. I mean, this is like a paradigm that needs to be changed. And so I think looking at root causes, which is lifestyle changes, which at the core of it is your diet, needs to be brought up. And we need to educate people because somehow it got corrupted.
Well, a doctor's never going to get sued for not recommending a diet. If a doctor removes you from statins and you have a heart attack, he's opening himself up for liability. If you are on statins and you have a heart attack, he can say, well, I was following the standard of care. All the incentives are lining up to move away from eating right, deprescribing medications, things like that. Claude has a phenomenal piece of software. It's wonderful for running my assisted living homes. And it does everything the Department of Health requires us to do to remain in compliance with all their rules and regulations. But like he said, he didn't put anything in the software to encourage a healthy or good diet because he was looking at what the rules and regulations were. And there's nothing in there about that.
Everything that we develop and we produce, it's based on demand, right? What is requested the most? And this should be at the top of the list, right? We should be promoting more and more health and wellness. So honestly, I mean, just like what this experience, going through and mining this data, it did something. It did something internally, even to our tech team, right? And these guys write code. But it's so much more than that when they start seeing that, my gosh, this is someone's life, right? This is someone's life. And if we can write some code to contribute to help benefit somebody and to prolong their life and their well-being. And in this case, Hal, I mean, with your perspective is like, hey, if I can get you that healthy to get you out of here, I'm winning, right? That's a philosophy that's just not embraced.
That guy that you talked about, that you tracked in your software for me, Claude, is now living on his own in an apartment with his dog. Goes out walking with his dog every day. I'm going to go visit him again next week. So you're helping us.
I think this is a great conversation to start and then start to dig deeper into this to see what we can do to put it on the map.
Definitely.
Just so they can start to at least recognize the problem as a first step because it's been hidden. I was under the delusion that maybe at the very most it was 10 medications, but 48 is, I think, slightly too high. I want to continue this conversation and I want to ask you this. If we took someone like you, and I presume that you're healthy, and we put you on 48 different medications, what would happen to your body? First of all, I don't think I can get anyone that's healthy to take 48 medications because they would probably be severely sick. But I was just thinking about it. If I took 48 medications right now, what would that do to my health? We're basically taking things that are going to make my liver very, very toxic. We don't know what is treating what. I have a copy right now of pages and pages of just one patient with all the medications, blood pressure medications, cholesterol medications, medications for a tremor, medications for blood clot, stool softener, several antidepressants, medication for seizures, insulin, schizophrenia, runny nose, nauseousness, prostate enlargement. This is completely insane. When I was in practice, I would always ask this patient, what are you eating? This question is never asked. If you actually omit the diet piece of the puzzle in an evaluation, you are missing the core cause. Because if you don't fix the diet, how are these symptoms ever going to go away? Why is there not a coordinated effort to find the underlying cause? Masking a symptom is not improving your health. I'm not saying the doctors are bad. It's just the system that we're in keeps big pharma very rich, but it keeps the patient very sick. Sometimes you hear, well, we still need more research to understand how diet influences our health. Well, you could just look on my website, drberg.com, and I have over 8,000 success stories because of one main thing. Changing the diet has created profound effects on their body. Really what I'm seeing is the medical doctor with help of big pharma is treating the side effect from the ultra processed food calories, aka junk food. As you can see in this interview, things keep getting worse and worse. Please tell me what you think about this problem and what we need to do to solve it.